You found it. Your home for the best content on your favorite team, the Fighting Tigers of LSU. Do us a favor, subscribe to the channel, leave your comments below, and be sure to smash that like button.
Now they'll motion Lacy back to the right side of the formation. Here's the snap. Pump fake by Nussmeier. He's going to throw towards the end zone. Caught! Touchdown! Fighting Tigers! Tigers win! Tigers win! In the right corner of the end zone. 25-yard strike to Kyren Lacy. And the Tigers indeed walk it off here at Tiger Stadium with a 29-26 victory.
A call that I am certain we will all hear many, many, many times for as long as the good Lord allows us to live. LSU beats Ole Miss 29-26 in overtime, a game that had just about everything in it. A game where LSU never led until they did, and the only one that mattered, the final count. That is a game that we will remember forever. You know, on Friday we were here and we talked about immortality. We talked about Billy Cannon's run. We talked about how 52 years after the play, Dr. Brad Davis is still telling the story about the night the clock stopped in 1972. Jacob Hester against Florida, who incidentally is the one who gave you the woo on that call. All those fourth downs. Matt Malk to Skylar Green against Georgia. We could even look at Burrow to Jefferson, 3rd and 17. Now, that was on the road, but it rings the same. Flynn to Bird. Name it. There are certain names, there are certain legacy plays and moments that as soon as you say it, as an LSU fan forever and ever, when you say 3rd and 17, Cannon's run, we know exactly what you're talking about, right? You got a couple of more of those on Saturday night. And they're so rare, and it's why when the stage is set for the possibility of one of those, you got to go into the stadium and appreciate it, or watch it wherever you are and understand you're watching the opportunity for a moment you'll remember for the rest of your life. And the Tigers delivered. For as long as Garrett Nussmeier and Aaron Anderson live, until the Lord calls them home, people are going to ask them about that fourth down play. For as long as Garrett Nussmeier and Kyren Lacy walk this earth, people are going to bring up that overtime play. Absolutely incredible theater. A phenomenal outing for the LSU Tigers at a time where your season and Ole Miss's season were on the line. You had to have it, and the Tigers delivered. We could start in so many places, but I'm going to start with the defense. That was an incredible performance. And I don't think there's many times where we're going to come here on a Monday after LSU plays a game and the Tigers give up 460 yards of offense to their opponent, 464 to be exact. And I'm going to tell you, that was an incredible performance. But in life, in sports, context matters. It's one of the best offenses in college football. An LSU defense that hadn't been great this year. That's a team a year ago you faced, and they flat embarrassed you. This defense, when they needed to be great, they were great on Saturday night. Ole Miss was just 3 of 5 in the red zone. You bowed your neck, forced a short field goal, a 32-yarder that they missed. After you threw an interception at your own 13-yard line, your defense bowed their necks, held them on a 4th and 1, held them scoreless at that point. One of the early storylines of this game was Ole Miss had opportunities. I get it. Trey Harris should, on the second play of the game for Ole Miss, should have had an 81-yard touchdown. Dropped it. It's on him. Ole Miss could have had a 10-0 lead. If he catches that ball, they make the 32-yard field goal. Missed it. Could have gone up bigger. Got stuffed on a 4th and 1. LSU consistently made the plays to force the pressure onto Ole Miss, and time and again, Ole Miss buckled. I mean, we could talk about the turnover before the half. What a play by Whit Weeks. Ole Miss gets the ball with 34 seconds before halftime. They're going to try to go make something happen. 2 quick completions, they could kick a field goal. What happens instead on the first play? Whitweeks rips the ball out. Dominant McKinley recovers it. Boom. You get 3 points before half. So instead of going to half 17-10, you go to half 17-13. You could argue that's the difference in the game, all else equal. What about the havoc? We heard so much about the Ole Miss pass rush, about how they led the country in sacks, led the country in TFLs. LSU's defense, 6 sacks, 9 TFLs, 11 pass breakups, 5 quarterback hurries, 2 forced fumbles, and an interception. That's havoc rate. Havoc rate. If you're not going to hold them under 300 yards, make it really hard on them and be opportunistic. And that's what LSU did time and again. How about the defensive snap counts? Zy Alexander, who Brian Kelly said after the game, got one of the game balls. There were 87 defensive snaps in this game for LSU. Zy Alexander played 87 defensive snaps. Whit Weeks, who was named the SEC Defensive Player of the Week. Who else would be named SEC Defensive Player of the Week? 18 tackles for Whit Weeks. Played all 87 snaps in the ballgame. Ashton Stamps, 87 snaps in the ballgame. Sage Ryan, 86. Jordan Gilbert, 85. Major Burns, 84. The coaching staff asked the veterans on defense, Zy Alexander, Sage Ryan, Jordan Gilbert, Major Burns, fellas, y'all been through SEC wars. Need you to stand up and go play big. They did. How about Garrett Nussmeier? We could highlight so many individual performances. Y'all, Garrett wasn't his best, by his own admission. 22 of 51. Completed only 43% of his passes. Talked to a lot of people after the game. Let's say people who watch film and know that sort of stuff. Said Ole Miss decided to drop coverage. They decided not to bring a ton of pressure. They played coverage to make it really tight on Nussmeier. Double teaming receivers, tight windows, and it showed. It was hard for him to fit the ball in tight windows and find guys that were open. It's hard for LSU's receivers to get separation. Ole Miss has really good players. Ole Miss thought their defensive line could win. The LSU offensive line did not allow a sack. How about this number? Will Campbell in 56 pass protection snaps. 56. Against guys like Centarian Perkins, Princely Umanmielen, who was in the game on that final drive, by the way. 56 pass rush snaps for Will Campbell. 0 pressures. Did not allow a pressure to that Ole Miss defensive front, which was leading the country in sacks and TFLs. It was the good-on-good matchup we talked about all week, and LSU's offensive line won it in a landslide. But Nussmeier, every time you needed a play, he made it. Do you realize? I don't know if you realize this. When Ole Miss went up 10-0 in the second quarter, after the 50-yard touchdown by Ulysses Bentley, do you realize this? Every single time Ole Miss scored from that point to the end of the game, every single time, LSU answered with points. Did you realize that? After they went up 10-0, LSU put together a 6-play touchdown drive to pull within 10-7. That was Trey Green touchdown. Ole Miss scored again to go up 17-7. LSU got the field goal before half. And then another field goal before half after the turnover. Ole Miss kicked a field goal to go up 2013. LSU answered with a field goal to make it 2016. Got the 3 points right back. Ole Miss kicked a field goal to go up 23-16. LSU answered with a 13-play, 75-yard touchdown drive to tie it at the end of regulation. And then when Ole Miss kicked the field goal in overtime, LSU answered with a touchdown. Every single time when it got to 10-0, every single time that Ole Miss scored, LSU immediately answered with points. Not a couple of drives later. The ensuing drive answered with points. Brian Kelly has preached about complementary football. You got it. Said it from the beginning of the year. Every single season, some team is going to, every team will play their best game of the year and their worst game of the year. My hope is that the South Carolina game for LSU was their worst game of the year and they managed to win it. You might have seen LSU's best game, Saturday against Ole Miss, or maybe they just keep getting better. I'd love to see a higher watermark already than what we've seen. But I will point this out. As epic as that win was, as much as we will talk about that forever, the relevance of that win only matters so long as you finish the season strong. If you go lose to Arkansas on Saturday, the relevance of that win is muted. It doesn't erase the memories that we all had of watching the game and being thrilled, but the relevance of the win is muted. In 1997, LSU beat Florida. First time ever, tear down the goalpost. First time ever beating number one. A week later, they lose to Ole Miss in Tiger Stadium. Just go back 2 seasons. You beat Alabama. Awesome. Epic win, overtime, all that stuff. Yes, you beat Arkansas the next week in a slugfest. But remember, you went to College Station and lost to a 4-win Texas A&M team. They finished that season 5-7 instead. How different is your postseason going to the SEC championship game with just 2 losses? Maybe not at all. But maybe. You got to go finish the season strong. Epic win, great night, performances we will talk about forever. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.